Hello, children. Good evening. How are you? I hope you can all hear me. Okay, so let's do this. Today we will. So we have talked about ultra learning in bits and pieces. Today I am going to summarize the whole thing and give you the full framework. Okay. So when you think about ultra learning, or rather when you think about like learning effectively, there are four things. Okay, four things that we have to think about. Okay. What are those four things? So let me pose those to you as a question, and I want you to think about. Right. First question is this: How? Okay, let me just give all the questions, and we'll ask one by one. First question is: How do we allocate our time for learning? Question number one. I'll explain that to you. Question number two is: When we start studying, what is the most efficient way of studying? Number two. Number three: Once we have learned something, gone through a chapter and finished it, how do we make sure that our understanding is deep and firm? How do we further strengthen it? And number four is, how do we revise it? These are the four questions. So let's start one by one. First question is, um, you have, let us say today is, let's say, Saturday. Okay, it is Saturday afternoon, and you plan to study for 4 hours in the evening. Let us say. eh? So first question for you is, um, if you have four subjects, you have physics, chemistry, maths, biology. In fact, let's say you have social sciences, English, whatever, you have the subjects as well, right? So if you have 4 hours, 5 hours, so let's say Saturday you want to study the whole day, Sunday you want to take it a little bit easy, whatever. If you have 4 or 5 hours, will you spend 5 hours on maths only, or only on physics, or only on biology, or will you do 1 hour of biology, half an hour of maths? How will you split your time? This is question number one that I want you to think about. Okay, and these are all practical questions, and whatever we are discussing, I want you to apply the same thing when you study next time. Okay, first question is, if you have 4 or 5 hours, will you spend on one topic, like cover maximum, sorry, one subject cover maximum, or will you split in among different subjects? So I will wait for you. I'll ask you to think and tell me. Okay, and then, okay, so Anne says divide the time for each subject. So how many of you will take one subject and go thoroughly? How many of you will do multiple subjects? Okay, so split the time. Gauri says split the time. Okay, what else? Okay, very good. So all of you, Sushma also says divide the time for different subjects. So that is the right answer. I can give you an analogy. It's a very simple concept. So let us say if you are eating, um, let's say you are having dinner, or you're just having some nice meal. Now, if I give you four items, and all four of them are sweet, okay, let's say there's nothing else, only sweets, different types of sweets, right? What will happen after 5-10 minutes? Once you've had some sweets, now you'll stop enjoying, because your taste glands are saturated. Something similar happens. So when we are studying one subject, after maybe like 1 hour is fine. After 1.5-2 hours, after some time it will start getting saturated, right? So when you change subjects, then you learn much better. So next time when you do that, uh, if you have 4 or 5 hours, divide it, let's say 1.5 hours each for different subjects, or maximum 2 hours. But don't do 4 hours at a stretch for same subject, unless, of course, if there is an exam tomorrow, then you have to do it, right? But other than that, always split time. So this is one very important concept of learning. Now, another question, similar question. Now, let's say you have to study maths, okay, and this is weekend. You have Saturday and Sunday, and maybe Monday, Tuesday, whatever. So you have two options. You can study maths. Um, Now you have the whole day. Let's say whole of Sunday, you're not planning to do anything else. Maybe some exam is coming, whatever reason. Now, will you study maths 4 hours in one day, or which is better? See, sometimes you'll have to study for 4 hours, also 5 hours, also. It happens, right, before exams, etc. But if you have to spend 4 hours, is spending 4 hours in one go, 4 p.m. to 8 p.m., is that better? Or is spending 1 hour on 1 hour Saturday, 1 hour Sunday, 1 hour Monday, 1 hour Tuesday? Which is better? Doing 4 hours at a stretch, or doing 1 hour, 1 hour multiple days? Which is a better option? You have to think internally. And the answer to this is based on science. This is based on science research. This is based on research on learning. Right? So Anne says every day 1 hour, which is the actually the correct answer. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you the reason for that. Right? When we learn, let's say you're reading a chapter on in chemistry. Let's say oxidation reduction or chemical reactions or whatever. Now there is some concept that you learn now for, let's say, for an hour. If you learn tomorrow, what happens? So whatever you have learned today, by tomorrow, some of it, your understanding would have gone down a little bit, right? So when you do the next 1 hour tomorrow, right? One is your brain is fresh, the previous concept, right? You are learning, so there is your brain will absorb much better. Second thing is, when you learn the next 1 hour, it will force you to recap what the previous hour also, because there is a continuity, and in that process, your revision will get. You are also doing effectively a revision also along with that. So if you study 1 hour, 1 hour, 1 hour, 4 days, it is proven. It is proven to be better than learning for 4 hours in one go. Okay, so now we have a very simple formula, very simple idea, which is that whenever you have to study today, decide, okay, I'm going to study for 2 hours. I'm going to study for 1 hour. So whatever time you have, that time you, if it's 1 hour, then don't split 15 minutes. No, then you do 1 hour. That's fine, right? But if you have a long time period, do every day, do multiple subjects and the same topic, divide into portions and do on different days. Okay, this is the way you should allocate time. This itself will improve your learning effectiveness by a good margin. Okay, so this was the answer to question 1, how you should allocate time. Now we will go to the second question. Once you have decided, now I had 4 hours, I decided, okay, first hour English, second hour maths, third hour something. Now the next question is, now that you're studying maths or English or any topic, how should you study? Right? Now here I'll not make you answer. I'll just revise. We have done this ultra learning session on this. So I will remind you how to do that. Okay. First thing is, when you look at any chapter, any notes, whatever, right? Do not start reading from first sentence and go to the last sentence. Don't do that. Before you start reading, we have given you a 4-step process. Okay, I'll remind you. First is, go through all the topic headings. Okay, so you should understand, okay, this is what the picture is. First chapter, first topic is, what is oxidation. Second is, what is reduction. Third is, why are acids formed. Fourth is, I'm just making it up. I mean, the examples are not real, right? So this is so you have to first go through all the topic headings. Number 1. Number 2, if you are this specifically for studying for school exams, okay, for school subjects, before you read the chapter, please, this is my request, please go to the end of the chapter and spend some time going through the end of chapter questions and think about the answers. You may not know the answer, that is fine, that's okay, right? But think about what are the kind of questions, what are they asking, and if there are multiple answer options, spend some time thinking about it, right? Some of you may feel that it is waste of time. It's not waste of time. Okay, so that's number 2. Number 3, now you can start going through the first topic, second topic, and so on. And every topic, when you read, what do? You have to take notes. What notes? Not detailed notes. I'm not talking about that. Okay, I'm talking about reading one paragraph or two paragraphs and then not looking at it and then summarizing it in 1 or 2 or 3 sentences. Okay, this notes we call notes using active recall, and these notes, if you write it neatly, you can use it later for your revision also. So you read one chapter and then say, reduction happens because of this process, or oxidation rate goes up when blah blah blah, right? So just write the key points there, and these points should be written once again without looking at the notes. Okay, I'm just reminding you. So this is the third thing. And fourth thing, which is relevant more for physics and maths, to some extent chemistry, is if there are see, I learn physics that way. If I have to teach any topic which I have studied maybe 10, 20 years back, the way I learn physics is I will go through every single derivation, and you have to be able to derive every single thing you're studying. The derivation in the book, you should be able to do the derivation and do the problem solving. Don't skip it. Don't. A lot of children do this. They will look at maths, read it. Ah, this is good, kolla, right? So, but then what happens is when you're looking at reading maths, you know what? How much you'll understand from reading maths? Zero, nothing. Okay. The only way to understand maths and physics is to do problem solving. Okay. So these are the 4 steps. I'll revise. I'll recap for you. 1, first go through topic headings. Number 2, end of chapter questions. Number 3, now read normally. After reading every paragraph, summarize in one or 2 or 3 sentences. Okay. And 4th, if it is physics, chemistry, maths, if there are problems or derivations, especially derivations, make sure you derive everything. Only then move forward, not before that. This is done. Now you have finished the chapter. Now, or finished, let's say not chapter, finished one topic. What should you do next? Now the third thing is we have learned it, but now we want to deepen the learning. We want to make our understanding very deep. We don't forget. How do you do that? That we do using the Fineman technique. Okay. I told you about Fineman technique. Fineman technique is very, very simple. We have made you practice that also last time, which is when you have learned something, after that, pretend that you are teaching it to somebody. Okay. You can, last time I told you sit in front of a mirror, but you don't have to do in front of a mirror. You can just sit and say, okay. So let's say you learned about a derivation. Now you say, okay, derivation is, let's say, equation S equals ut plus half at squared. So then you can say, the distance, okay, in your case you do it using graph, let's say. Okay, so this is the graph, this is what the this is the velocity graph, the area. So you're explaining, so the area under the curve for velocity time graph is the displacement. If you have to find the area, it is this. So you explain it. This is probably the most powerful. Seriously, I'm not exaggerating. You do this, children, you will actually, sometimes you children, you ask questions. Sir, what if we forget tomorrow? What happens if we forget? Actually, we forget. You know why we forget? Because the first time when we learned, the learning was not deep. We just had a shallow understanding. When you do Feynman technique, your depth will increase. Okay. So this is step number 3. Step number 4 is revision, which I have not talked about today. I'll discuss very briefly. So here is a paper I want to show you. Right. So when you are studying something every day, just look at. We will share with you a PDF document. So don't worry. We'll give you a detailed PDF. But I'm just giving an idea. When you study something, you should be tracking what you are studying. So here you can see that, let's say you are every day. Today you learned. You studied. Say chapter number 3 in this subject. So here I have written, right? So let's say 21/4 on Wednesday, you did this particular chapter and these topics. And then on this, then you did this particular chapter. And maybe you can write, see here I have written the names of sections, or you have put the numbers, doesn't matter, right? So just in a diary somewhere, you should just keep track of this. Just, it's a little bit of extra effort, right? But just do that. So now what will happen is, okay, Monday I studied this, Tuesday. Now you have a log of that. And here's the method I would suggest for revision, right? First thing is, all revision methods, they have to be practical. What happens? I can tell you that you should revise everything every day, but look, practically you have only limited time. So we should not. So revision also we have to do in a practical manner, because I don't want you to be studying day and night and all the time. No, we don't want that. Okay. So here's my suggestion. Weekly revision, whatever I have studied during the week. Okay, so let's say this week we have done all these chapters. On every keep one day. Okay, children, keep one day for revision every week. When it's your choice, I suggest a Saturday or a Sunday. Because Sunday you may play games and you'll have church, or somebody may have other events. So Saturday might be a good day, or you can choose Sunday. On Sunday, whatever you have learned that last week, okay, go through the notes that you took. Remember the short notes, the 2-line notes? Go through those notes. Don't throw them away. Go through those notes and read them once. If you remember, don't worry. Don't have to see. You revision. A lot of children think Revision means you have to read the whole book. No. If you are comfortable, once you read the notes, and read the notes, okay, and it's coming back in your mind, yeah, this is clear, this is clear, this is clear, that's fine, right? Then don't worry about it, move on. But if it's not clear, right, then you have to go and check. And how do you know it's clear or not? If you can explain it to somebody, always use the benchmark. If you can teach somebody, you know the topic. If you cannot teach a person, which means there is a gap. Okay, if there is a gap, then you have to quickly go and revise that. So this is the weekly revision, and then monthly revision. Now monthly revision is hard. Okay, so do it to the extent possible. I'm not saying you have to revise every single thing, because practically it may not be possible. So what you do is every month, so you have 4 weeks, let us say, every fourth week, right, Saturday and Sunday, you go through your diary, whatever things you have learned, very quickly pick up and very quickly go through, okay, this one, yeah, notes, okay, it's clear, 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 clear. Oh, this one I'm not sure, and then you do one revision. Okay, so 2 revisions, weekly revision, monthly revision. Now let us be practical. Sometimes you may have exams, sometimes you may have other tensions, sometimes some school festival is going on. So there might be things when you might not be able to fully revise, in which case do it to the extent possible. But I would strongly recommend that even if you postpone it by a week, right, if let's say this week there is some school festival, you can't do it, you're busy, next week do it, right? But a weekly revision plus monthly revision, this is more than enough, right? So if you can do these 4 things: one, allocate your time split between different subjects, right? Same subject, study on multiple days, right? So that is how we allocate time. Second, while studying, go through topics, end of chapter questions, read and take notes, and if it's maths or physics or chemistry, solve problems. Number 2, complete. Number 3, Feynman technique. After reading a chapter, teach it to an imaginary person. And number 4, do the revision. You do all of this, I can guarantee. This is my guarantee, right? Any subject, any topic, right? You will outscore everybody. Right? You will do amazingly well, and do it regularly. And don't have to, seriously, don't have to study for day and night. It's not required. You do these things, you will save in half the time. I can guarantee in half the time you'll be able to learn more than what you do normally if you use the normal learning techniques. Okay, so these are the things. If you have any questions, you can ask, and we will share a PDF file with you in which we will write all these things so you can use it for reference. Now the next thing is that all the stuff I've told you, it is useful only if we practice. A lot of times what happens is we know the stuff. We know, like, these ideas, but when it comes to studying, we'll say, the pot, and no, we'll do it another day. Let me just, quickly finish this, right? And in that process, we will not take notes, we'll not practice it. That is the problem. Okay, which I have also done that. Even though I know these techniques, of course, I did not know when I was studying. If somebody had taught me these things, I would have learned much better. But now I know. But sometimes when you're learning, you become lazy. Like one typical example is when reading, will say, notes will not take now. We'll do it. Let me just read it. I'll take the notes later. No, notes have to be taken while reading at that time. If you're feeling lazy, don't write notes, don't study, take a break, right? But when you study, you have every para you read, every topic you read, you have to take notes using active recall. Okay, so this is it. And before I let you go, I'll teach you like one fun thing, which a lot of people talk about. It's not very useful, but it's still fun. Okay, which is, how do you remember if you have to memorize things? First of all, I'm not very fond of memorizing things. Okay, by understanding things, we can remove the necessity. But let us say you want to memorize some things. How do you remember that? So here I will show you something which will be helpful. You may not require it too often, but I can show you. So here's what I will do. I will ask all of you to write some random word in the chat. Okay, I will memorize those 10 words, and without looking at that, I'll close my eyes and I'll tell you all the 10 words. Okay, so write 10. Each of you write one word here in the chat. Some word, any word in English. Okay. Okay. So while you're doing that, Sushma has a question. Sir, I make timetables of completing the syllabus, but once I get stuck, I get confused from where to start again. Okay. So Sushma, here is the thing. When we make timetables, and this has happened to me a lot, right? So we make timetable, and the timetable, we are not able to stick to the timetable. So first question is, why does it happen? Oh, by the way, um, when you're studying, don't forget the Pomodoro technique. Okay. Have I taught Pomodoro to you guys? I think I've done that, right? So Pomodoro basically means that 25 minutes of studies and 5 minutes of break. So Sushma, the answer to your question is, when you're planning to cover a topic, think in terms of how much time you're spending, and that study has to be done do using Pomodoro, so you'll be very, very focused. And don't worry too much about whether I'll complete the chapter or not. So let's say you say, okay, I'm going to spend 1 hour on chapter on real numbers in maths. Whether you complete it or not, that is not within your control. You have to just make the best effort, right? So in your timetable, put it this way, that okay, this is the thing, but the goal is to spend 1 hour, 2 pomodoros on this topic, not necessarily finishing the whole thing. Okay. So let me just, now there are some words here: intelligence, entertainment, brilliance, excellence, promulgate, incarnation. Okay. So one, COVID, procrastination, excellent. Okay. Okay. Give me some more words. Ecstasy. Okay. Anshul says ecstasy. Okay. Okay, got it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Right? So I will actually remove, because I want to read in sequence. So Sushma, thanks a lot for your response. I'll just hide your response so I can read the words. Okay. So, okay, now let us say you have these 10 random words. Okay. Intelligence, coronavirus, so we'll call it COVID-19. Okay. Procrastination, entertainment, brilliance, excellence, promulgate, incarnation, uh, excellent, and ecstasy. Now these are 10 words that I need to remember, right? So now these words are random words. Actually, you have chosen excellence, excellent. There are some variations, but okay, they're still pretty random. Now, how do you remember? So this is a technique. Let me give you. It's very simple. You can actually learn that pretty easily. So the technique is this. So um, the things that we remember very well. Yes, exactly. Sushma is right. So create a story. So if you watch a movie, I remember movies I have watched like 10 years back, 20 years back, sometimes even 30 years back. You remember the scene. Whereas when you read a book, after 20 days you've forgotten. So how is it that something you remember after 20 years? That is because our brain is such that we understand stories very well. Okay, we understand. That is why mugging up is a very bad idea. Why? Because when you're mugging up, we are losing the whole story of that chapter. We are just mugging up different facts, and it's impossible to remember. That is why children who mug up, they spend more time and they score poorly and they are unhappy, right? Whereas when we are understanding, we are understanding the story of that particular chapter or the topic or whatever that becomes. So now I'll just one thing, I'll in my mind, I will create a story around these words, and then I will try to kind of recreate by, uh, without looking at it. I'll just tell you. Okay, let me just now give me like 1 minute. I'll just think about. Okay, so now I've gone through the words I have in my mind. I have a story, um, and I will just do one revision, and then after that I'll tell you these words, and I'll tell you how to do that. By the way, as I told you, it's not very useful. You will hopefully you will not require this, but if required, you can sometimes in maybe in social studies or wherever you can do that. Okay. Okay, so I'll now close my eyes so I can. I'm tired as any case, so I close my eyes and then I'll tell you the 10 words. Okay. So first word is excellence. Second is COVID-19. Third is procrastination. Fourth is entertainment. Brilliance. Excellence. Promulgate. Incarnation. Excellent. Ecstasy. So yeah, so those were the 10 words, and these 10 words I'll probably remember even after 1 or 2 hours, right? So if you ask me, excellence, COVID-19, procrastination, entertainment, brilliance, um, uh, excellence, promulgate, um, incarnation, excellent, ecstasy. So there's a story in my head, and that story is going to stay for a much long. Obviously, here I made a weak story, but you can make a now. How do you make a story? Right? So it can be some weird story. So here in my mind, story was, let's say I'm thinking, so coronavirus, is it's a so intelligence is a primary trait of coronavirus, right? But normally it's the virus is very lazy, right? So it'll not, so it'll normally procrastinate, right? But sometimes when it wants entertainment, right, wants some fun, it'll show its brilliance. That is the kind of story that I made in my head. So you can make a similar story like that, and with that it is not difficult to remember things. However, please remember that this is only useful for please, for science and maths. Don't try to memorize, right? You may find it useful for some other subjects like maybe social studies, history, where a lot of dates are there, some random details, right? So this is one of the techniques. Now when you look at internet and YouTube, look for like learning, you'll find a lot of these kind of techniques. I know all those techniques, but they're not useful. The useful things are the ones that I taught you earlier. Okay. So that's about it. So thank you guys, thanks for joining, and I hope that you found it useful. Now only thing I'll remind children, all of you, right? I know it's hard. I know it's there's always this tendency to take I also used to do that, take shortcuts, but follow the process. The process that we have taught you, you follow that process, I can assure you, this is my guarantee, half the time better studying. Okay, and we will share with you a PDF, whereby it will make things easier for you. Okay, so this is today's Friday. Tomorrow and day after you have an off, so we'll not be having our sessions. But please don't forget to do your meditation. Please don't forget to do your workout. That's up to you. But tomorrow, day after, we will not bother you. We will again start on Monday. Okay, thank you all for joining, and I must tell you one thing. It is really enjoyable for me to work with you, all of you children, and I mean, there are some children here are from outside as well, but some of you are part of our Ultra Kids program, and yeah, it's I'm really enjoying it. Hopefully, you're also enjoying it. So thank you, and 702. So enjoy your dinner and have a good evening. Right? So I'll see you later. Bye bye. Take care.